well, so on with the next bits on Dan's bike. So today I thought I'd do the front engine mount. So on these, the engine mounts, I'll get you closer in a minute. The engine mounts are in two halves and they are never ever the right angle. So this fold here is always overdone, and just about every single Enfield's like it of this era. So what I do is basically clamp them all straight and weld them all up so the bracket is one. So let me just show you. Be the easiest way. So the bracket's in two halves. I don't know if you can see that. It might be best to put something straight across it. Hold on. A rule. Right, so as you can see, the bracket's in two halves. You can see what the angles are like. And just about everyone's like it, like I say. So what we're going to do, we're going to use another bracket, because we've got a few Enfields in here, and it doesn't matter because they're all the same. So what I'm going to do is use another bracket and use another engine for a jig to clamp it all up, because obviously we can't get into that one to get the clamps in. So if we do it on a spare engine, we can get in with the clamps. So I've tidied these brackets up. We'll bolt them back onto this engine, but I'll also space the insides very slightly with just a couple of washers, because it will try and squeeze in a little bit when we unclamp it when the welding's done. So yeah, we'll get on and do that. Right, get my list out of the way. I don't want to set that on fire. I've got my list of all the little last jobs on that bike. Okay, so yeah, just put a washer on the inside, or else, and I've learned from making the mistake before, if you clamp it right up to the engine and weld it all up, and then all this bracket's powder coated, it is an absolute pain to get back on. But you'll see that this one will be the same. All the angles are just completely wrong, and they do look better as one piece. They obviously, it's obviously easy to sort of manufacture in two pieces, I guess. That's why they do it. On that one. If we clamp that up tight, well, bolt it up tight to start with. And then we'll put a good strong bit of material across the front and put my clamps on it and then pull it all straight. We'll just heat these folds up a tiny bit to relax it, and it should be okay. Right, so as you can see with that one, it's also the same. I've dropped that. Oh. I don't know if you can. No idea if you can see that. But it is quite bad. Anyway, get the good old Bessie clamps on the job and pull that straight. Just use a bit of 10 mil, that'll do it. we'll go down and tack it all up first. That's got it. Obviously it's going to leave a gap, but that gap I'll just get a nice weld in there. Just help keep the spatter out of them fins. So I've got that sorted. I've just got to obviously clean the front of it up. I've just skimmed the top off the weld for now. We've got it all straight. And as you've seen, I put them washers on the inside because I knew it would all try and shrink in. And without them washers, it just becomes impossible to get it back on the bike. It shrinks and sort of manipulates that much with the heat. But now, as you can see, it drops straight on. It goes better than that actually. I'm just being an idiot and not lining it up. There we go. So that is absolutely spot on now. So what I'll do, I'll get this engine off the bench out of the way, and then we'll go for finishing all that surface off and get it so we can't see no weld at all, so it definitely looks like one piece. Right. Get my back ready to lift that thing off. Okay, what I'll do first, we may have some sinking in there, which we will weld up if we have, but I'm going to get that down more. But what we've got to do is try and grind it in such a way where we ain't putting welts in it, which is really easily done. And then when you go and get this powder coated, that is going to show up like crazy. So it's just a case of being careful with the grinder and try and keep it all level. That's the hardest part. But what I'll do first is sort of grind down in that direction till we've got that about level. Then we'll probably grind in that direction, and it all helps keeping the surface flat. I don't know how well you're going to see this. You might be able to see it well in the super duper new camera. So you can still see sink in there, but this bit of weld's still quite high. And then you can probably see little welts here where I've just really quickly roughed it down previously. So we'll just keep working the grinder and slowly take that out. So what I do is just try and keep it even and doing it at the same speed. So if you're going like that, that's when you put the big welts in it. That's getting there. Also, when it's getting close to being a good finish, I'm barely putting any pressure on the grinder. So, sort of the scoring marks that the grinder creates, they'll be quite shallow, and then we'll get them out quite easy with a DA. So that's next, a bit of DA-ing. As you can see that. We got that quite flat. For you guys that like the bare metal finish, that does create a lot of extra work on a build if you wish the metal work to look nice. I think if you took a lot of time making something nice and you want to show it off with it being bare metal, it's important to get the surface finish nice, I think. Some people do cheat. Can I call it cheating? No, I won't call it cheating. Some people actually like that grinder mark effect. I think it's cheating a bit, because they do it because obviously it hides a multitude of sins on your surface. I want to get that so it's a nice metal finish, then it will be powder coated and we ain't going to have no big score marks showing up in the powder coating. And just finishing it with P40, that's a more than a perfect finish for the powder coating. And what I like to do is get a good finish with all the paint gone, because what can happen if you get stuff shot blasted, especially if they're using a real heavy blast, where you've dressed all this up, you could actually have real shallow pieces of weld in there where you've dressed it, and the blaster can fetch them out. I know some blasters are not very delicate, so if they just absolutely hit it hard, it can mess up quite a lot of things. So I like to give bits like that to the powder coater so he hasn't got to blast them at all. Right, there we go, that's the surface about done, the front face anyway. So we've got no welts off the grinder in that at all. It's got a good finish for the powder coating to take hold of it properly. I've just got to do the sides and the inside, which, to be fair, we can do before it goes to the powder coaters. I can get this on the bike now. Okie dokie, before we go and bolt this onto Dan's bike, I've sorted a stand out. Now, with these Enfields, I tend to try and use the stand that was on them when they was in their original state. So this one is a stand that literally bolts on with this. This is the type of stand, and they're all right actually. I'll tidy all this one up. I don't know if you can see that. So this has a tab on here, and this is notched out. So when you put it down, and I can't do it, and the weight of the bike goes on it, this is a bit all seized up, which I'll tidy up. That locates into there. Oh, there we go. So when you take the weight of the bike off, that pops back out and the stand goes up on its own. That's sort of what's supposed to happen anyway. But this thing, oh, it's a bit, there's obviously loads of muck gone in there over time and it's jamming up a bit. So we'll tidy all this up. It's obviously got to be shortened because the bike's a lot lower. So what I'll do is tidy all this up, shorten it, and we'll drop this on the bike as well, because eventually the bike's got to come off the bench and we've got to make sure all these things are cut to the right size. Then we'll put a new foot back on it up here and it should be okay. We'll probably put a new spring on. To me that doesn't seem strong enough, so we'll sort all that out as we get it on the bike and get the bike on the floor and try it. So yeah, we'll strip this out, get all the muck out of it, and hopefully it's functioning like it should do. There we go. Let's take that spring off. I'm sure that's not strong enough. It seems quite weak, that does. So yeah, we can probably see it a bit better now. There's also there's also a spring in there which helps. Obviously when the weight comes off the bike, it helps pop it out of there. Then the other spring that I've just took off helps flick the stand back up. It's quite good actually. It certainly eliminates that thing, and I'm sure we've all done it. Not so much on the modern bikes, because normally they conk out if you put it in gear and your stands down. But these older bikes, you don't get that option. So they are actually really good for that. I'm sure many of you have rode off with the stand down. I've done it. It's easily done if you're with a group of people and you get chatting as you're about to pull off, and it's very easily done. So this thing actually eliminates that. Right, that's all that cleaned up. So I've got down in there as best as I can. Spring back in. And that. Oh no, I'll tell you what I was going to do. I forgot about that. I think by the look of it, that only wants to come up to there. I might change that. I don't know. We'll try it on the bike first. Let's try it on the bike first. We can always do that bit when it comes apart. Get that in. I should obviously build it all properly when it comes to it with nice new bolts and washers. Yep. That's better. Yeah. I would have thought it would come up more than that, but we can sort that out if it needs to be sorted. Depends how it sits under the bike. And also, when I get the length absolutely spot on to where the bike stands nice, we'll figure out, obviously this bit that I cut off had that on. We'll figure something out so it, obviously you can get at it with your foot, because that is literally hidden right under the bike. And we need to be able to press it down with your foot. Anyway, let's get all this on and see how that goes. Put another jack under there just to support the engine. While we undo all this. It's only got to be just under. That should do it. Right, let's undo all this lot. Right, let's do the exhaust as well. I think while we've got the exhaust undone, we'll try that cooling ring on. Right, I've got all that on. I've just found something else out with that new camera. So the battery went flat, and the spare batteries I've got, found out don't work in the camera. So obviously GoPro have put something in the camera so it doesn't recognise aftermarket batteries. So it looks like I've got to get proper GoPro batteries for it. But hey-oh, I'll get some. So yeah, I've waited for the camera to charge up a bit. Anyway, I've got all that on. I've got the side stand in place. Obviously, we've cut it off. Where is it? We've cut all that bit off because that was no good the way it's going to sit. So when the bike's on the floor, I will be able to see what we're going to add on to there and what we're also going to put on that will be a lot better than that. So you can just drop your foot on it and drag the stand down. But like I say, that'll be done when the bike's on the floor. But yeah, that is looking loads better. It does look much better when they're joined. Let's have a look. You should be able to see that, I think. Yeah, I'm much happier with that now. I'll say we'll sort that out when the bike's on the floor and get it all the right length, and we'll get something that comes off it. Obviously it can't come past the brake lever because that'll stop us from hitting the brakes, so it'll just come out just underneath, so you can just get your foot under the brake lever and press it down, put the stand down. Also got the cooling ring in place. I took the exhaust off while we had all the bracket disconnected. Again, not sure on the light. Let's lift the curtain up a bit. So that looks a bit more finished now. Well, a lot more finished. It is loads better than just having the exhaust disappearing into the head there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. The correct levers came for the inch bars, so I'll get all them laid out. And what I'm doing here, I'm just going through everything now. I'll even put this lever on. I just want to know everything is going to 100% work before we take this bike apart. So yeah, the inch lever's on. Not done it up yet, but it's just on in place for now. And I'm slowly getting through that little list I've written out. Right, I think that'll do me for today. I got distracted with a couple of phone calls, so there's another bit done anyway, and it's getting quite late, and I want to get ready for the weekend to do a bit more on the GS, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, the next job for this is we're going to get it off the bench, get it on the floor, because one, I've got to sort out the size stand, get that the correct length so it's safe on the stand, and also sort out the steering locks. Obviously at the minute it's got none because it obviously wouldn't have had that front end in it, so at the minute it's, well, I don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to need something there for it to stop, so say like save things hitting the tank and stuff, so we'll sort that out. There's a couple of nasty stops on the forks, and they're not very pretty, so we'll chop them off and do them again, and then we'll have to put something on the frame that the forks hit, but we'll work it out. I'm going to work out the nicest, easiest, simplest way and get that sorted, and then I guess it's back on the bench to tear it apart. And when it's torn apart and everything's off up to the powder coaters and places where it's all got to go, we'll pull the engine apart. Well, at least the top end. We know all the bottom end's absolutely spot on. We know the engine runs nice, but we're still going to at least pull all the top end off so I can clean it all up properly and paint the barrel properly. And then we'll put all new gaskets on throughout the whole engine. But yeah, it's getting very close at last. So that'll do. So next video after this will probably be on the GS. Anyway, that'll do me. Cheers for watching, guys, and take care.